Welcome to Phil and Bob's Treehouse.
The Central Park trees covered in snow. Over the Hudson, the sunset glow. The smell of halal and jasmine rice. Creep on the corner, don't look so nice. Now he's pooping, why I don't know. Life's full of mysteries, now it's time for the show.
Hi, I'm Phil.
Hi, I'm Bob.
We live in New York City, home to the highlights, the lowlights, and everything in between. This is our take on the human carnival.
Funding for this podcast is generously provided by Indio, Brooklyn's hottest new food truck. Featuring radical Pan-African fusion cuisine, Indio brings a taste of Africa to Cobble Hill, Brooklyn Heights, and on Thursdays and Fridays, Carroll Gardens. Indio, the Swahili word for yes. Say yes and experience an authentic taste of Africa. All right.
Oh, nice.
Welcome back, Phil.
Well, yeah, thanks. Interesting. So wait, we're back. We'll deal with that in a minute. But I like this sponsor. I'm a sucker for the food sponsors, as you know.
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Well,
you talk to him. I think you're the Brooklyn connection here.
Yeah, I think your enthusiasm may wane when I tell you a little bit more about this situation.
No, I'm nervous.
The gentleman's name who started this food truck. His name is Bradley Plimpton. Okay.
What kind of food truck is this?
It's a Pan-African fusion cuisine truck. This gentleman, Bradley Plimpton, just read off his resume here. He graduated from the Groton School. Famous alumni there have included
that's
FDR.
A prep school.
Yeah, it's a prep school. And then 4 years at Hampshire College.
Okay.
With a semester abroad in Kenya.
Okay. That's where he worked his chops.
Yeah, and so race shouldn't matter.
That's true.
But he's white.
That's my suspicion.
Yeah. So this guy is out in Brooklyn, trying to share his love for African cuisine.
Okay.
So.
Wait, so I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
So he was at Groton.
Yeah.
A noted prep school.
Yes. Very waspy.
Super waspy.
Yep.
And then he spent a little time overseas in Kenya,
mm-hmm.
and he picked up a taste for African food.
Yes. I mean, I think his love affair with Africa continued beyond just that semester. Because
okay, right.
I guess he's bringing a taste of each of the numerous countries around Africa, which are quite culturally distinct.
Yeah, that's true.
It goes all the way from Libya and Egypt down to South Africa, which is
it's all just a big mishmash.
Yeah,
a blur.
But his intentions are so good.
Yes.
And I think he's growing as a person. He cut off his dreadlocks about 5 years ago. So that level of appropriation, I think that he understands is probably troubling. I think in today's climate. But he's charging ahead, and he's got this food truck.
Yeah. And
he's bringing dishes out. You're the food guy.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Actually, I don't know anything about African food, African cuisine. I wonder if my sense is that they have there's a lot of stews and peanuts and stuff and chicken when they can get it. But I always see those things on TV, and it's they can't afford those meat, so there's a lot of root vegetables.
Yes, tubers.
And I saw a thing on YouTube where the guy was an expert at trimming all the excess from the heart of palm tree. And he took out the very inside of the tree with just a machete, and it took him 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And they just put that in a big stew with all kinds of weird like snails and stuff and weird fish that sort of riverbed fish, stuff like that. And it became this odd looking stew. Yeah. So, but my sense is that this guy is probably not selling that on his cart in Borum Hill. Yeah. I wonder if he's Americanizing for his customers.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to find out. But you're right. It's he parks. I think he just goes down Clinton Street all the way that area they call Bakoka.
Maybe he missed that part of Africa when he was on his semester abroad.
Yes. So that's Mr. Bradley Plimpton. I believe no relation to George Plimpton, but who knows?
Who knows?
They're all related, I think, at some point.
There was actually, by the way, and I have mentioned this frequently in my time in Cape Cod, near Provincetown, the homosexual mecca.
Yes.
And there used to be, this reminds me actually, a food truck called I think it was called High Tide. But Tide.
It was THAI.
Yeah, I think it might have been just TIDE, but it was Thai food.
Yeah.
It was run by a white fellow.
Yeah.
It went out of business.
Okay.
It actually wasn't bad. It was pretty good, and I appreciated that it existed out there because not much like that out there.
Right. Well,
But it went out of business, and it was again a Western guy running like an Asian food thing.
Yeah. No, as I've calling back to prior episodes, I think among the things that white people love, besides scuba diving and opioids, I'd put Thai food up there. You go to you go to a gentrifying neighborhood. The first restaurant there is a Thai food restaurant.
I never thought of that.
It's true.
Interesting.
You just see all these skinny white hipsters. They love Thai food.
They like the pad Thai.
Penang curry. Nothing says hipster like Penang curry.
Like a Penang. Good point. That's when we know you're in a gentrifying neighborhood where there's a solid, like a Thai restaurant.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how gentrification occurs. First, you have like a place called like #1 Chinese restaurant, and it's like they're serving like wings, fried wings,
right?
And then the gentrification happens. The first thing that pops up is the Thai restaurant,
because Chinese places are like littered or throughout like non-gentrified neighborhoods, right?
Yes.
I mean, I wonder how this occurred.
Chinese people are everywhere.
Yeah,
they've emigrated everywhere.
I wonder if Thai food does not translate to everybody.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly love Thai food because they use cilantro sometimes. I think, or it's the basil something.
There's Thai basil thing.
Yeah, there's some herb in there just doesn't sit with me.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of it is coconutty.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, coconut is a hit or miss in my book too.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, good luck to this. What's this guy's name?
Bradley Plimpton.
Bradley Plimpton, and we'll have to dig in and see if he's related to George.
Yeah. Let's go check it out.
Okay.
All
right.
Well,
we're back.
We took a little hiatus to all our loyal listeners out there, thousands of you. We had to take a break. Some of it was for corporate reasons. We were in a little dispute with a publisher that was giving us some problems in terms of the distribution deal we wanted. So we're back.
Right.
We hope that's behind us.
We hired a guy who played hardball.
Yeah. And it might have backfired on a little, but you know what? We're back. So we're back. Maybe a little humbled, but eager to start version 2.0 of this podcast.
It's funny. We did 25 episodes of our old one. I actually got a Christmas card from a listener.
You did?
Yeah, and it said, "Where's number 26?"
Aw.
I was touched.
That's great.
So a shout out to you, our loyal listener. We should connect more than we do. We need to get more T-shirts and stuff like that.
Yes.
We had that.
Okay.
Going on.
All right. Phil, I want to talk about something salacious.
I'm always up for that.
Scandalous.
Yeah.
You know why? Because our new producers, they said that we need to just go down to the lowest common denominator. So I want to talk about an article I read in the Times last month.
Okay.
It was about the writer Molly Roden Winter. Have you heard of her?
No.
Not a very successful author, I think, in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
She hadn't been published too much, I think, in the past. But she wrote, actually, it was a debut, a memoir. It was called More.
Okay.
A memoir of open marriage. So that's, you know where you're going with that.
I think.
Yeah. Suffice it to say, she writes very openly and graphically about the open marriage she had with her husband and 2 kids. And she lived in Brooklyn, in Park Slope, to be specific.
Yeah.
And, in one of the scenes, she talks about just having sex with her boyfriend while her 2 children sleep upstairs. And her husband, who consented to the tryst, is feeling a little guilty. But she, dashes into the next room to console him and says, he has nothing on you as a lover.
Oh my God.
Oh no, actually she texted that to her husband, but instead of texting her husband, it accidentally went to the boyfriend who's devastated, and it's like an R-rated episode of Three's Company.
Okay. Oh, went to the boyfriend that she's with.
She just slept with,
I got you.
Needless to say, it's a little shocking, I think, to a traditional family values type of guy that I am.
Yeah.
I don't. We're good friends. I've known you a long time, but I don't presume to know how things go in your household.
Exactly.
But to me,
right.
This is a little shocking.
Yeah.
And I'm always shocked at how white people are so in their memoirs are so happy to just open
confessional,
air their dirty laundry. So I thought I would just, bring it up because, not because, the open marriage thing is that shocking these days.
Yeah.
But it got me wondering, got me thinking about food.
Okay. Interesting.
Because I had also, been at the time about to have my first colonoscopy.
Yes.
And I was thinking about health and breakfast foods in particular. And so, the idea of monogamy or just faithfulness to one item.
Okay.
In the realm of marriage.
Okay.
But could you translate that sort of reasoning to breakfast foods?
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, well, this guy, the GI guys told me you gotta add more fiber to your diet. Right. I thought, could I eat a bran muffin every morning for the rest of my life? Could I commit to that as my breakfast food?
Okay.
I mean, could you do that?
It's not. I mean, I sure. It's not like torture. I mean, there are worse things, I guess.
Right, and it's good for you. It's good for you, and
okay, go ahead.
And you can grow to love the bran muffin, right?
Sure, but it's still a muffin, which is just okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, my question to you in this thought experiment is, would you get up in public in front of your friends and family and commit to this bran muffin and say, I'm going to eat you every morning for the rest of my life?
Sure.
Or would you, if there's a different type of breakfast food, what would it be that you could commit to?
I feel like this is a trick question.
No, it's not. No, we're just talking about breakfast food.
We're just talking about breakfast?
Yeah.
I don't really even eat breakfast, though. Okay. I can't really relate to this, but I know what you're saying. Because I have been eating, I've been on a protein kick.
Yeah.
And I've been eating a lot of hard-boiled eggs. And today, I went to the deli and I bought 3 and I ate them. And I'm getting really sick of hard-boiled eggs. And so if someone said you have to eat all these every day, they're really bland.
Yeah.
And I was walking down the street eating peeling them and dropping the shells in the street like a bad person. And I was like, I can't eat any more of these. It's making me sick. But I know what you're saying. So that's the equivalent, I guess. If you had to eat hard-boiled eggs or a bran muffin, but it's not really in the grand scheme of things. When you think it's not that bad. Yeah. How is this related to the marriage though?
Well, I'm just saying if you, because what I was saying, right? If you have something every day, you're going to get sick of it after a little while, right?
Well, sure.
You just want to pop out maybe once in a while and get a jelly-filled donut.
Well, that's what this woman said, I guess. This woman and the husband. I don't know if the husband was philandering as well, but that was her decision, right?
Yes.
She did this. Was she bored of her diet, her daily diet? Is that what was going on?
I think it was actually the husband who first suggested it.
Because it was just a thrill?
Yeah.
So, someone in the relationship was bored. Yeah. My sense is that she was a frustrated writer and could not figure out a way to get anything published and was like, hey, man, I literally have my life situation is I'm married. Maybe I can tweak that and create some kind of weird, unusual drama that people will like to read about because people like to read about this shit. Especially I'm white and I'm upper middle class.
Yeah.
And it's good print,
So
that's my
cynical.
sense.
That's very cynical.
A cynical way to look at it, perhaps. And maybe it was some kind of, I don't want to minimize her transformative life experience or whatever. And I haven't read it.
Yeah. And let me at this time be explicit because we have a very loyal female listenership.
Yeah, that's what
our
really?
data
That's
indicates
what the demographics say?
The demographics say we have a good split of male and female.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating for open marriages.
Yeah.
Even though the example of the bran muffin versus the jelly donut might suggest that there's
if
some
someday
diminishing marginal returns on sameness, but and certainly marriage is much more different than a
also this would not
choice.
work the other way around. Like, so if the husband initiated this situation, right?
No, yeah, he did.
Okay, this is all messed up
Right.
because first of all, if your better half, right, was like came into you one day and she's like, I think we should we should have an open relationship. You'd probably be like, yeah, sure, fuck, yeah, sure. I don't want to get in trouble, anybody in trouble, or me, or anybody in trouble. But like, this was the fact that this was initiated by this guy.
Yeah,
there's no way women. I would say 99%.
Would say yes?
Would not be the one to start this conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
There's no way.
But the irony is that from the article, it seemed that like he suggested, and then she just took it and ran with it.
Oh, well, maybe he didn't know he was going to. Yeah, maybe he didn't realize.
And he was the one that ended up sad and jealous.
Maybe we don't know enough about it. I think men, I don't know anything about this. Like, initially, they have they're good at like stupid ideas.
Yeah.
And then they don't realize the consequences of
Be
stuff.
careful of what you wish for. I always say that.
Maybe that's the lesson.
Yeah. And, they're still together.
Okay, great.
I mean, neither of them sound really happy. It was just kind of a depressing piece. I mean, to your cynical point about her writing career, though, I mean, if that was the goal, she certainly achieved it. I mean, she's got a review in the Times. It's probably done wonders for her sales.
Yeah.
She's still married to the
like
guy.
They have kids and stuff?
Yeah, they have kids. They're grown. The kids know about it. One of them read the book. The other one was just too grossed out.
Is it graphic?
It gets graphic at times.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, don't write a book, a sex book, a confessional sex book.
If you have kids.
Period. But like, especially if you have kids, it's like, being like a porn star. Like if you have 2 kids. Yeah. Right?
I don't know. Maybe we're being judgy. We might as well be Republicans.
Okay, I don't mind really judging people like this, I guess.
Yeah. So the yay for her, Molly Roden-Winter Moore, a memoir of open marriage. She is a writer from Park Slope, Brooklyn, right in our backyard. And if you want sort of a cringy read, just go get it.
Okay. Hey, and then go to your food cart.
Yes.
In Brooklyn somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
India.
Okay. Okay, we're back.
Yay.
So, food cart, sex talk. Let me just tell you my last week, by the way.
Yes, it was very
I told you about this.
Yes.
But dramatic. It was a shitty week.
Horrible. No good. Terrible, horrible, no good.
But
week.
I don't want to make it sound worse than it was.
I mean, you did. You broke a bone.
I did. Okay, so I will tell you, our loyal listeners, the sort of the skeleton, no pun intended, of the events of last week.
Okay.
Last Tuesday, I picked up my child on the back of my e-bike, which we have talked about a lot.
Numerous times.
I'm a giant fan of this thing. Best way to get around town. So we're driving down 8th Street here, and there's a lot of parked cars. Mm-hmm. And some guy jumps out of nowhere, pedestrian, jaywalking from in between the parked cars to cross the street to go to a coffee place or something.
That's why you don't jaywalk. It's not a victimless crime. Rules exist for a reason.
I mean, I was literally like 6 inches from this. I had no time to turn. I just ran right into him.
Let me ask you, what was your rate of speed?
It actually wasn't too bad.
Reasonable rate
No,
of
and
speed?
I know what's fast on the e-bike and what's not, and it actually was not too bad. And I ran right into him, and I fell off and braced my fall with my hand.
Yep.
And then I got up, and my kneecap on my left side was burning with pain.
Yes.
And my right wrist was also burning in pain. And the knee thing went away in like 10 minutes. The other thing, I was like, man, I can't like move my fucking anything. My fingers, nothing. And my daughter, no scratch, barely a scratch.
Right.
Unbelievable. So we had helmets. Thanks for asking. So if anybody wants to know, all the grandmas out there. So this guy was a prick, by the way. Like he stopped. He was like, "Oh, sorry," kind of, and then he just walked away. Mm. And whereas other people, at least on the street, like stopped and they lifted the bike up and moved it to the sidewalk, So I do not like this guy.
But sorry to interrupt. Proving, I think that in emergencies, New Yorkers are kind of like shockingly helpful.
I agree.
Sometimes.
I mean, this guy was a fucking prick, and like, I will find him one day. By the way,
you don't want to say that out loud.
Okay, but so the people were actually were nice, but I was like, I can't move so let's walk back. We walked back. Here's the sequence of events. Let me know if I'm bored. We walked back home, and I put the bike in there, and then I was like, I gotta go.
Did you have a good cry?
No, I was. You go home. I'm gonna go to the urgent care.
Yep.
So we went to urgent care. I did by myself, and then they said we don't have X-rays here. You got to go to the 13th Street to the used to be St. Vincent's. Now it's like Lenox Hill something to get X-ray. So I walked there, and my fucking wrist was in so much pain. And first of all, to the listeners, don't go to the emergency room if you think you need medical attention, because you always get emergency rooms. I think have like it's like a world into itself.
Yep.
And they're not geared towards like dealing with people as like human beings. So I got an X-ray, and the doctor came out. He's like, "You got to go downstairs to the emergency room because that's really gnarly." He goes, "That's really gnarly." I was like, normal doctors are like, okay, there's an issue here, whatever. But they're emergency room people, and they don't like have a bedside manner.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's broken, but it's broken really weird. And I was like, oh God. So my brain, I was like fucking stressing out.
Yeah.
So I went downstairs. That was at like 4:00.
Yeah.
I waited for about the next 4 hours.
Yep.
Literally. They said, we're going to put you in an ambulance. We don't have any doctors. Take you up to the Lenox Hill uptown.
Yep.
And they can deal with it up there.
You should have taken an Uber. That was probably like $1,000 ambulance.
I know.
Ride.
Well, I think the insurance, but
that's just raising costs for everybody else.
I know
that's
true. So I was literally waiting forever. Like I was the last person. People came and went.
Yeah.
And finally, around 7:30, I was like, "Is this guy coming?" They said the big wait is waiting for the ambulance. Like you were last in line. Finally, you're the next in line for the ambulance.
Couldn't you just like?
I could have gotten an Uber. I guess I don't know. They said don't go. You can't go. So
you're gonna have like
I don't know. What's
a wrist attack?
No,
or something?
I was just like at that point I was like, what am I gonna do? I don't want to get out of their system, out of their radar.
Yeah.
So I get in the ambulance, and I go up to Lenox Hill on 77th Street.
Yep.
And
wonderful neighborhood.
It's more people in the emergency room though. It was a little more like chaotic, strangely, and it was really I met this doctor in there after like half an hour or something. Took me into a little room with like a little room with like a table, and
he asked you to
like
undress.
a bed. A nice guy, tall black fellow.
Yep.
Irrelevant.
Yeah,
but
you gotta say his
I
race.
don't know. But so he said we're gonna have to move the bones and push them back into place. I've never broken bone before. Have you broken bone?
No, thank God.
I've never broken. I mean, I've had surgeries.
Yeah.
But I'm like on my knee and stuff. But I never had. So we're gonna have to move the bones into place to prepare you for the surgery, because the surgeon had already said you're gonna need surgery because it's displaced.
Yep.
You can't just like put a cast on it. So I was like, oh my God, that sounds terrible. So he said, yes, but we will inject you with this like the painkiller. And so he put my arm, he said, put your wrist on the table. And the wrist was where I broke the wrist. And he took this giant needle and he stuck it into my wrist. And it was so painful that I was like digging my fingernails into the table. It was so painful.
I can imagine.
In like a million different ways. And he kept moving it around in there. And I was gonna like start screaming.
You didn't scream out loud though?
No, but it was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And so that was done. Then they tie your fingers up onto like a thing, like an IV kind of machine, like that rack.
Right.
And they hang you and they put weights on your arm.
So they literally
manually
it's like resetting.
It's like fucking medicine from like 200 years ago.
Yeah.
It's medieval. He's like, hold on. And he stood on he was piling books and stuff on the floor.
Yeah.
And standing on them so he could get leverage to like pull my arm.
Like snap it back into place.
And like move it back into place. And it didn't, the medicine obviously, it was strong enough so it didn't like kill.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt it was painful, but it wasn't that bad because the shot was the worst.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh my God.
But like, it was crazy. And it was very, I was like, this guy's, he stood on like a bucket, like that was upside down just to like get the leverage.
That doesn't seem very official. They
No,
should
it
have like a bone setting box.
stand. And so he put in this big giant sling with like a cast and then I went upstairs. I was like, overnight, and then the next day, basically it was called an add-on, meaning like you're not scheduled for surgery, but it's an emergency. So when the room opens up, the operating room, then we'll bring you in. So I waited until like 5:00 the next day.
Right.
And in my room. And they gave me the OxyContin, but only like every 4 hours.
White people love oxy.
Back to the white people.
Yeah.
So, it sucked. And then they wheeled me in there, and I got operated on. It was pretty quick, actually. And then I decided to stay, over the next day. But that was my week. And here's my takeaway, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had surgeries before, but it was pretty terrible experience mentally. And I'm going to call back to the mental health episode we did.
Okay.
Because I'm like the worst person for this kind of situation. Because it's like a lot of like isolation time. Mm-hmm. First of all, a lot of time with your brain, with your obsessive brain.
So were you obsessing about
the terrible outcomes?
What do they call that? Complications?
Yeah, the catastrophizing about the terrible complications down the road.
And I will say, this is for our listeners who can't see this.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's like a real
it's
surgery
a splint
with
now.
Plates.
Yeah.
Plates
He put plates and screws and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I was doing a lot of just catastrophizing in the room, in the ER room, in my room. So I think that and actually being in the if anybody spent a day or two in the medical system, it's
awful.
it's almost like a nether world. It's like a limbo world of one day you're just going out in the street, the next day you're just plucked into this world where you have no control over your anything. Nurses come in, they won't let you leave. You can't stay. I couldn't even get up out of my bed because there's an alarm that goes off. They have to turn it off every time.
Yeah.
And it's just a weird universe. And we're sitting in a big city, and hundreds of thousands of people probably right now.
Yeah.
Are in hospital beds.
Right.
Did
you have a roommate that one
No,
night?
no.
That's
I didn't.
lucky.
That was lucky.
Really?
Fucking lucky. Because I can deal with that. Yeah.
Could you upgrade? Is there a business class?
No, it was a shitty room. I mean, it was what they had at the moment. Yeah. I bet operating room hard to find a vacant one.
Yeah.
The actual room to stay overnight, not hard, I guess. For some reason.
Interesting.
But anyway, the point is that really, you're suddenly in this limbo universe, right? Of just of worry. And obsession, and then combined with physical pain, it's no fun. And a lot of people, as we speak, in this city, of course, in the world, but we're in New York City, big city, many hospitals.
Yeah.
And then let's go back to however many episodes we went to where I talked about my parents and stuff.
Yes.
Because my parents have this fantasy.
Yeah.
Maybe some of you may have this experience. I don't know. Parents or people sometimes latch on to institutions.
Okay.
And they think that you have to go to that college.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's no good. Your degree, or you have to be this doctor and you're at this hospital.
Yeah. As an Asian, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
No, I get it.
But so my parents have spent, all their doctors are at Mount Sinai Hospital here.
Shout out to the Upper East Side. Oh, well, Carnegie Hill, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is on the Upper East Side.
Yeah.
But so I actually called my wife, called my brother, and then he called my parents, and when I was in the emergency room.
Yeah.
So then my mom called me, and then my dad called. So they're like, "Oh, you have to go to Mount Sinai." So you want me to leave? I can't with a broken arm.
Yeah, you're already in the system.
I'm in the system. I talked to the surgeon on the phone. He's he was uptown.
Yeah.
He's like, I see you in the system. I can operate tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's like, but if you have people on Mount Sinai, I was like, I guess, but like,
I know.
I'm not gonna like. You want to leave, go home, sit there in my house with a broken arm, no painkillers, no nothing.
Yeah.
Then go to Mount Sinai, where I'm sure everybody is equally qualified as this other guy. You know, like
that's the thing. I mean,
not helpful.
If you were like a lead guitarist or somewhere where the ulna or the radius of your right arm was critical to your functioning.
Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, instead of just masturbation. And writing and driving,
sure.
Things like that. But I think you made the right decision, and kudos to you.
Thanks. Yeah,
it's tough to stand up to parental pressure, even at our age.
I mean, and then so then that was another one of those things that went through my head. In addition to my catastrophizing about, holy shit, this is really fucked up, and I've got all these other issues going on, like. Maybe this fucking doctor who is scheduled to operate on me is like a quack, like I was Googling him and I was like, where did he go to college? Like, as if that matters. Like, it's just, it's not helpful to have outside voices in your head.
In the grand scheme, you're alive.
Yes, thanks. No, I mean, it could be worse. It's not cancer. It's not,
and also it's not a concussion and a fractured skull, which is honestly, now that you're okay, I'm going to say that. First of all, I've been lying this entire time. I don't support you riding an e-bike. I think they're death traps. They're death traps.
Okay,
they are.
Okay, but it's not. That's not true. It's not. No,
Yeah.
I will agree with you in one sense.
Yeah.
That it's not. But I will say to you that riding a bike or e-bike or in the city is tricky because of the hazards and the number of obstacles you have to deal with and be aware of.
Yes.
Like people jumping out of nowhere. The villains in my experience since I've had the e-bike for a year
Jaywalkers?
Are fucking pedestrians. Okay. And I'm not kidding. Like I ride with my daughter in the back.
Yep.
And we have a green light straight down Broadway.
Yep.
People have their earbuds on. They don't fucking care. They have red light. They just walk. They don't even literally don't look left or right. They just keep walking.
Well, but then I hate to sound like
So it's not the e-bike. It is. I will agree that it is biking.
Yeah.
Or it is on the city. It's hazardous.
Well, you could be right. And you could be in the moral right, and you'll be in the ambulance. It's like at a certain point, yes. I mean, it's sad, but you have to give in to the fact that the jaywalkers are going to pop out. I'll just bring it back to science, man. Force equals mass times velocity, and that V goes up when you have an electric bike. I don't care how much you say that you're going to not go super fast.
I agree.
Everybody goes fast.
Yes.
The V goes up, and it makes the impact that much greater. You know what? But you're alive.
That's true.
I don't know if you're going to ride it again.
I'm going to ride this thing again.
All right.
I'm a little worried about my summer beach volleyball career.
I think out on the Cape, it's probably a little.
No,
I mean, you mean just like
with the wrist situation. The guy said he claims to me, this lying doctor, claims 3 months and you're back to normal. Uh-huh. But my physical therapist again today, Yuki. She's Korean. Korean physical therapist said, I don't know. What does that even mean?
Shatter said hello to our Korean listeners.
Yeah, she seemed doubtful. And again, okay.
Yeah, well, you're alive.
Yeah.
I felt bad for you when you told me this.
Yeah.
I was on my way. I was driving out of the city to Connecticut. And then when it became apparent that this was serious, I was like, wow, if I was in the city, I'd offer to help out, but I didn't. I felt like I couldn't say that because I was 90 minutes away.
Yeah.
At that point.
Well, thanks for the
so
thought.
I was really thinking. I was like, I hope it works out.
Yeah.
But there's not much I can do from out there.
No. Yeah. My mom was like, I remember. I think I had surgery, and then she called me. It was that day, and she's like, "I'm gonna take." She's like, I know you're not a kid. I'm gonna take you home tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, fine. I don't really want her to, but I was like, okay, fine. And I think the next day she just forgot about that. She's like, you're gonna get an Uber, right?
Yeah. There you go. All right. Well,
that's my health saga for the moment.
Yeah, we don't want to talk too much about health though, because we got to keep that teen audience up.
That's true. That's true. But teens don't they like e-vehicles?
Oh, I guess they love e-bikes. I mean,
Maybe not e-bikes. They have scooters and stuff.
Yeah, scooters.
And Wegmans.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad you're alive.
Thank you.
One last story for me.
I excuse me. I had a one anecdote.
Okay.
From today.
Proceed.
Okay. Because it was New Yorkie, I thought you might appreciate it.
Okay.
I dropped my daughter off at school this morning, and I had about an hour or 45 minutes to kill before my follow-up wrist doctor appointment.
Yep.
And I went to the little coffee place on the corner, and this girl who I actually have seen going to school, the same school, and I wasn't. She is one of these girls who could be like in 7th grade, or she could be like a senior.
Okay, it's like child of indeterminate school age.
Because like this kid, I don't want to say. I was like, she looks. I can't tell how old she is because she looks older, probably than she is.
Okay.
One of those sort of precocious looking, but looking in dress and kind of like manner.
Yep.
And,
it happens in the city a lot. These kids grow up quick.
Yeah, I guess so. And then, so it's a coffee place. And I think the guy who runs it is Italian. I think he's Italian. And there's a bunch of other European-y kind of people.
So it's like a Eurotrash hangout?
It's just shitty coffee. And it's like not
well, you're the one that's there.
It's on the corner. And I had 45 minutes. That's true. And so...
Wait, so is she a truant? Because shouldn't she be in school at that
it's
point?
a good point. But maybe she was late. But it was like one of these things. I was sitting there, and I was looking at doing the crossword puzzle. Mm-hmm. And I looked at her, and I saw her go in to get a cup of coffee. And this was like 15 minutes after I dropped off our daughter.
Yep.
So I know this kid's supposed to be in school.
Okay.
So she's definitely going to school. But she had the air of and she had this fancy bag. Not she didn't even have a backpack. It was like a purse, like a leather. It was like a Gucci purse, or it was like a name brand kind of designer purse.
Okay.
And but also with sweatpants. Those kids wear these days. Kids wear a lot of sweatpants and stuff, fancy sweatpants.
I'll take your word for it.
Like that aviator.
My daughter's in college now, so I don't really know what's going on with the
anyway,
youths.
I think there's a designer sweat look going on.
Okay.
Anyway, so she didn't have the look of someone. She didn't have a backpack with books.
So
it looks like she was going to school because
she was a very scholarly looking gal.
She did not look like a scholarly gal. She had the air of someone who was I'm going to school. My parents think I'm going to school, but I'm gonna sort of saunter in 15 minutes late because I'm here. I'm gonna get a coffee.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna just hang out.
Yeah.
So she went to the coffee lady, and she comes here all the time because I heard her say oh hey, and they knew her and everything, and then she said, oh, I'm going to Paris this weekend.
Paris this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. It's President's Weekend. Not to keep this evergreen, I understand, but
yeah. So it is a long weekend.
It's a long weekend, but
it's still that sounds pretty jet setty.
Yeah. So I was after I
only in New York.
I was like, oh my god, this fucking kid. Just kind of sort of sashaying into school late before your Paris weekend. On your that was my.
So you sound like an old man. Did you chastise her?
I didn't chastise her in my brain though. I was like, oh my god,
very judgmental.
I was crazy judgmental.
Yeah.
And that's my New York anecdote.
Okay.
And then if you're someone working in the coffee place, you really want to hear some fucking kid. Yeah, let's go to Paris. Yeah. But
I don't know. You ever read that that essay by David Foster Wallace? This is Water?
No, but I've read a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, well,
what did he say?
He suggests in moments like that maybe to imagine that the person, someone who's bothering you or offended you, that you imagine them in a wholly different light. Oh, she's about to go to Paris to work with Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. And, she's getting coffee for her teacher who's going through chemotherapy and needs a pick-me-up. And she's been selected to go out to the coffee shop because she's the best student in the class. You could choose to do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
You need like a novelist's imagination for that, maybe. But that's actually maybe words of wisdom. I'll check that out. That's funny.
Yes. Point of reference is that David Foster Wallace did kill himself. He hung himself in spectacular fashion.
Let's take his advice with a grain of salt.
Grain of salt. Grain of salt. Or do what I say, not what I do.
Yeah.
So on that note, New York, baby.
All right.
Kill or be killed.
Good to be back, everyone.
Yes. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
And all our loyal listeners, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Goodbye.
All right, bye.
Well, that's the show, folks. Our theme song was performed by Echo Strada. He's an incredible Brooklyn-based artist creating psychedelic alternative music. Check him out on Spotify, Apple Music, and iTunes.
Central Park trees covered in snow. Over the Hudson, the sunset glow. The smell of halal and jasmine rice creep on the corner. Don't look so nice. Now he's pooping. Why, I don't know. Life's full of mysteries. Now it's time for the show.
That was fucking awesome!
That was all right.
Yes!